I call Scott Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As Chairman of the Local Government Environment Committee, it gives me enormous pleasure to actually speak to the first reading of this Environment Canterbury Transitional Governance Arrangement Bill in the name of the Minister for the Environment, the Honourable Nick Smith. And the answer to many of the questions that the previous member has been asking about this bill actually lie in the title of the bill. It's a transitional governance arrangement, a transitional governance arrangement for the people of Canterbury, and it's moving the people of Canterbury from what was back in 2008, in fact prior to 2008, at the tail end of the last Labor government's administration, a state of complete dysfunctionality in terms of where the governance of ECANS was for Canterbury. And that was prior to the earthquakes in Canterbury that came following that dysfunctionality. And it just beggars belief, Mr Speaker, to think that the situation that existed prior to this government taking the leadership action that was required to sort out the governance issues in Canterbury on this important matter, if that had not occurred and then we'd had the earthquakes, as I say, it just beggars belief to think about what the consequences might have been. And so I want to ask this of the member who's just resumed her seat. Why is it that the Labor Party doesn't want to listen to the local mayors? Why is it that the Labor Party don't want to take notice of what the local government leaders in Canterbury are saying? There are 10 mayors in the Canterbury region, and of that 10, 6 of them support this legislation. 6 of them support this transitional governance arrangement that will take us through to the 2019 elections. Of those who are not in that group of 6 local mayors who support this legislation, one of them wanted to keep all the commissioners, wanted to keep the status quo that we have currently, and that's clearly not going to happen. One of them wanted to elect straight away a new return to democracy. Just one wanted to go back to the process that the Labor Party are calling for, and 2 of them were agnostic or didn't actually express a view. And so, Mr Speaker, when you analyse the support across the 10 local government bodies in the Canterbury region, 6 of the 10 support this legislation. And the question I have for the Labor Party is, why are they listening to just one of those local government organisations in Canterbury? So before central government stepped in to this mess that was ECANS, there was absolute evidence of severe underperformance in the Canterbury region. And the previous government actually, I'm told, considered taking steps but deferred the opportunity to do so in the run-up to the 2008 election. They actually abrogated their responsibility to take a leadership role and do something about what was painfully, obviously, a huge problem in Canterbury. And it wasn't until after this government was elected in 2008 that action was taken to appoint the commissioners. And I want to express my thanks and praise for the work that the commissioners have done in turning what was an absolute dog's breakfast and a mess into something that is now well along the way to being best practice and something that I think Canterbury and all New Zealanders can be proud of. So the main provisions of this bill really seek to establish a continued timely development of a robust, clear and effective framework for the management of fresh water in the Canterbury region. And nothing could be more important to actually Canterbury people than that allocation of water, or indeed to all New Zealanders, because so much of New Zealand's natural water resource is sourced from the Canterbury region. Environment Canterbury has actually made huge progress, Mr Speaker, in developing the comprehensive water plan that is required and supporting the earthquake recovery program. And to go now to this transitional stage that will take us from 2016 through to the elections, the local government elections in 2019, this bill seeks to achieve that, and I think that that will be something that will meet with support from across the Canterbury region and probably great support from around the rest of the country. So, Mr Speaker, I'm very much looking forward to, at Select Committee, hearing submissions from Cantabrians. I'm looking forward to the process. I know that it will be vigorously debated, but it needs to be debated on the basis of fact and knowledge and certainty rather than hyperbole and exaggeration that is the sort of thing that we see from opposition members who are determined to dance on the head of a pin in order to oppose for the sake of opposition. Sir, this is a bill that I think has merit. I'm looking forward to debating and discussing it at Select Committee, and I commend its first reading to the House.